there anything else anybody would like to say? Nothing else? Does anybody imagine that they might be able to come to the meeting or might be able to send us a paragraph or two on particular issues without putting you on the spot at the moment? Does anybody else think that they, I mean, for instance, we've got the issue of character housing and we've got the issue of green space that we have already raised as a board that we would attach to the district plan issue. Anybody else?
Just as a suggestion, one of the things with regards to the intensification housing is we've got also the issue of flooding and with the latest climate reports, obviously it's blown the science out of the water, so to speak. The intensification or restriction of intensification, rebuilding, etc., in certain areas, I think should be looked at. So I think that's actually an important thing to bring up.
And can I just remind myself that in the elected members exchange, I'd like to have a comment or two from the councillors and other members of the board on the vexed issue of the stop banks, which are outside our board area now, but aren't outside our board area in the future. So and we have discussed this as a board 3 or 4 years ago when we had both Keith and Peter Christian talking to us about these stop banks, with both of them semi-reluctant to follow up on the stop banks. I can remember the meeting distinctly. So I'd be very glad to discuss that in exchange in an informal kind of way. Back to the district plan changes. Can I have a mover and a seconder to submit on the council's district plan and delegate the authority to the chair and deputy chair to approve the submission on the basis that the draft submission will be sent around the board for approval? Can I have a mover?
Yep, I'll move that.
Happy to
Thank you, Callum. Seconder, Kier. Any further discussion? Does anybody propose to join us? Kier, I'm looking at you.
I will try. Just depends on my work schedule.
I know, but would you be able to write a comment into us? Because that would be useful. And Callum, I know I'm putting pressure on, but it would. Thank you. It would be great. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, abstentions, carried. Thank you. Now, this is the shortest board meeting this year. Elected members information exchange. And I'm going to start with the person who's facing me now, which is Kier. I don't know why you are, Kier, but you are.
Geez. Normally I have a bit more time to think about what I'm going to say.
Do you want me to go to someone else like the councillors and have a think?
No, I think, to be honest, I don't really think there's that much on my mind, to be honest. No, I'm quite comfortable. I popped along to the Westmoreland Residents Association.
Did you? Good on you.
Just to say hello. And they are a lovely bunch of people. It was nice to. And they're certainly. I think they talked about planning to catch up with you and Lee, Carolyn as well, to talk about engaging with the board and stuff. So that was positive that they were they seemed really keen to build a good relationship. So I think that's a really nice. That'll be exciting. Although they still very much do look. You can tell they still look a lot towards Halswell. They were talking about alternate venues, and every single one was in Halswell.
Yeah,
that was kind of, but be nice to have them, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I met with Lindsay in the CAF a couple of weeks ago, and he was so interestingly active in Ngāi Tahu at the formal level. Because he relates to a name. So that was a really interesting conversation. I'm glad you saw them. I think the relationship between them and Craycroft can only be productive, They're both active communities. Good on you. Who are you going to nominate next, Lee? Kia? Callum.
Sweet.
Okay.
Not much from my end. Unfortunately, I'm a household contact, so I'm trapped at home, but I missed the A&A meeting last week.
Are you
but-
still in full contact? Are
Well,
you still?
it's a 7-day thing.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
yeah.
I know. Yeah, it seems to have been for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still stuck there?
Does feel like a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm out soon, so that's good. I did have something though. In 2 weeks, Addington School was having an open day for their new playground, and well, it's not just the playground. They've got a lot of new sort of outdoor equipment and a pump track that's been built there. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's technically a pump track, but it kind of looks like one. Anyway, there's been a lot of outdoor sort of landscaping stuff. It looks really, really cool. So I'm keen to go along to that.
What day?
Great question. I have to get back to you on that.
Where is it? Is it in the front with the
It'll
trees?
be at the school.
No,
How do you mean?
where they've done this. At the school, where have they done it?
Oh, like
Is
all
it-
over the place. It's crazy. Like the whole outdoor area it's like it's been re-landscaped. So they've got a new playground, new junior playground, new senior playground. They've got a new kind of grassed area inside all their basketball courts, but in between them, and then around the border of the field, they've got a new pathway that kind of undulates with lots of natives growing in it. So yeah,
How
and they've
did
got a
they
whole
pay
new
for-
like football pitch as well. That's a great question. I think it was Ministry of Ed money, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. So
Sounds fantastic.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that was the whole story. Like they probably did it. I know that they did do fundraising as well within the community, and like the Addington Neighbourhood Association as well donated some money to support them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. Could you send us round the date, Callum, when you've thought it through?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll do. I'll send an email out.
Open Day Addington School. Could you nominate the next person?
I'm going to nominate Lee because you're next to me on the screen.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you. I've got 2 or 3 items to raise. I'll just firstly mention, I think everybody would have seen this, just the malt works, obviously the flooding on Colombo. It's been, I know it's an insured facility, so they've obviously lost a lot of the props from that are stored in the basement that they hire out and rent out to other organisations. There's been a great kind of rallying around on the community, and there's a give a little page, but I still think it might be good for either Carolyn or even myself to just reach out, just check they're okay. Again, community's been really active and supported, but might just be good to check in with the Maltworks as well.
Yeah.
I circulated a email on Monday just regarding ongoing issues with the Port Hills Trust. So most recently, somebody had uplifted a macrocarpa heavy as macrocarpa picnic table. So it's just another disappointing event that's happened there. We have had some preliminary advice from Parks just on maybe how we can help support the trust. So I'm actually meeting with those guys tomorrow. So it's probably a little bit of watch this space. The initial advice was that some surveillance might be beneficial, maybe even some low-cost surveillance, but there's a few things to traverse in terms of privacy and who looks after an ongoing asset. So we just need to traverse a few things and discuss it tomorrow at the meeting. We may come back to you. So just watch this space with Port Hills Trust. So let's see if we can support that organisation. Finally, I'll just mention it. I think this is quite a gnarly one, but I don't know if you saw there was 2 dog attacks. One was in Ernley Clark and one was on Tennyson and Colombo. The one in Ernley Clark was a personal friend of ours whose dog was lucky to survive. So maybe just one for staff. I think it's really hard because this is an isolated incident. It was a dog off the leash. Maybe it's just a good opportunity to get some more information out there on owners' responsibilities, bylaws, just actually, let's get some more information out there in the public domain. I think it's, in this case, I think the owner was traced, thankfully, but it's obviously really distressing for the 2 parties that are involved. a couple of days back. So yeah, so that's just, I think if staff could take that on board, I'd really appreciate us getting some more information out there in the public domain through Newsline or whatever channels we can. Maybe even our local newsletter as well would be great.
Yeah, because that really is quite strict on dog on a leash in that park, not only because of the humans, but also because of the swans and things like that. And so I'm a bit surprised they got away with the dog off the leash there.
I just checked the name of the park.
There was two incidents which we believe will link. The first incident was Ernley Clark, just as you walk out by the Swan, the whatever it's called, the facility there, just at the edge of the park. Another incident happened a little bit later on Colombo and Tennyson, I believe. So yeah.
Thank you.
Could we just double check that they did trace the owner, just as Lee said? Because if they haven't, it'd be good to ask the dog rangers to up their patrols maybe in our area.
Yeah, good idea.
I can check that with the Lionel, who's the head of dog control, animal control. No worries.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Marie. Thanks. I'll pass the baton. Who's left? Sorry, Mel.
Hey, lots of little things, I suppose. I went to, well, Adeline and I went to the Easter egg hunt at the Hoonhay Community Centre on the Saturday, and it was really well attended. So they're continuing to do those sort of child and family friendly events there, which is great. And I've been invited to another event there on a Sunday for something else randomly. So I thought, that's cool. What a great place to go to, the community centre there. So that was good. I don't know if Tim, you're going to mention the annual plan hearings start tomorrow for councillors. And we were going to be doing some on Saturday, but I don't know if you heard about Ian Thompson, the lawyer. Has everybody heard about that?
Yeah.
So his funeral's on Saturday. So councillors will be going to that. And I met with a resident that I told Carolyn about, a man called Russell, who lives basically opposite Hoonhay Park, Park 1 as he calls it. He calls them Park 1 and Park 2. Can probably guess the numbering system. And he does a lot of maintenance, I guess, to look after the park, because I think essentially because he enjoys it, but also to clean up rubbish and various things like that. So I talked to him for quite a long time while he showed me all of the different things that he does and his system for clearing out and recycling things with the tiny bins that he has. I've passed his details on to the Hoonhay Community Association as well, a resident, and he doesn't have email or internet, so to invite him to anything would be a case of ringing him up, I guess. So it's another example of the digital divide as well as other things. But it was interesting to meet him and someone who's passionate about that.
I can just let you know, Melanie, that the ranger has already been in contact with him.
Oh, great!
Oh, that's
great.
Nice. I was thinking of community awards, Mel.
So had I been until the discussion around not liking cycleways. But yes, I did actually think that. Then I changed my mind. But no, I do actually think he does a lot of work, and his whole 3-bin system is dedicated to other people's rubbish. So I was explaining to him he maybe shouldn't take people's bags of rubbish because people are leaving entire black bags, massive black bags, not the same size as the old ones, but huge ones on purpose alongside the park rather than dealing with the material themselves. So and he takes it upon himself to open it all up, sort it all out and all sorts of stuff. So I said you'd be better off ringing up and getting that taken away. So and another thing, I saw, hang on a second, I'm just going to Right, it's dinner time. So the other thing, I saw that ANA have been invited to that Brougham Street Bridge focus group in an email. So that's good that Oku Kotahi's moving on with that.
Sorry, Mel, just on that. Was that emailed to all of us, or I don't know if I remember seeing that in my inbox.
He may not have put, I don't know. Graham does tend to email the local elected members. I just saw it in there.
Okay.
I'll talk some more about that in a minute, Callum.
Sweet.
I don't know anything more than that. An interesting tidbit, Summit Road Society, Bill Woods is going to be 80. So they're, well, actually his daughters are planning some birthday events for him, including a website for Linda Woods Reserve, and there were some other things as well. So I guess it's pretty exciting. I didn't realise he was late 70s. I probably maybe should have. And the other thing I wanted to mention was actually around water usage, because as you'll be aware, council has decided last long-term plan, I think, to charge for excess water use from the next financial year, so from July this year, which really probably wouldn't kick in until the summer months when people are using more water. But I mean, I can't even check on the water reporter how much water we're using yet, even though I've been told that we would have the numbers by April. So I was just wondering if anyone had any, had been looking that up, or has had anyone contact them about that, because the other thing that's been brought up is that there's not any information yet about how the exemption process would work, especially for larger families and things, which I think council will be looking at pretty soon, but they're going to need to sort of crack on with that. Has anyone, I guess it was more of a question rather than...
They're going to establish some criteria for an exemption process now.
Well, the exemptions were for medical use, leaks. So if you could prove there was a leak and then it had been repaired, you could get that bill for excess usage written off. And then for can't remember the terminology, but for larger families, large households. So definitely there was a idea to do that, but there's never been a definition, I guess, of where that would kick in and where it wouldn't. But we're going to have to come up with that soon. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mel. Callum's raised the issue of the vape stores in Addington, and he sent me, because we've got very little to report to council this time, so I thought I'd do a couple of photographs of Addington and put forward Callum's idea about the vape stores and the impact that they have on a neighbourhood, rather like alcohol. And Callum has sent me a photograph which purports to show 2 vape stores, but I was just going to ask Callum, I can see one vape store, Callum, but is the other one the one that begins with H?
Yes.
That's a vape store as well.
Yeah.
The one that looks almost like a gentleman's club on the outside or something.
Yep.
That is not cool. That is not cool. Poor old Addington Co-op in the middle of all this depravity.
Maybe that's something.
Whether it's cool, I guess depends who you ask. But,
maybe it's something we can put into the or ask to put into the district plan with regards to the limitations, or start the conversation with regards to the vicinity and the distance between them, etc.
I mean, that's the whole information that we wanted, because Callum and I have been exchanging emails, because all of this was Callum's idea in the first place, and I think Callum's onto something here. I think people will dislike an emphasis on vaping stores, and we sell cigarette stores like that, as much as they dislike licensed alcohol. So we should prepare for it as a community.
If you want, I'm talking to John Higgins tomorrow, and also Mark Stevenson, so I could just bring it up with both of them if you want. And I'll ask them to get in touch with you, Carolyn and Callum.
Well, Callum's the one, because he's the one who initiated it. Well, so if you could ask him,
I mean, it was, just to clarify, it was initiated by a resident, so I'm kind of following up on the I mean, I'm not definitely
Okay.
So Tim,
Definitely.
do you think
yeah.
you could put that bloke in contact with Callum to see how we could
Absolutely.
do that?
And perhaps a report or just some, a memo of information with regard to the board as well. But Callum, I'll be talking to John tomorrow, so I'll get on to that.
So
That's great.
So I have asked for some staff advice on that, and
Okay.
to come to the board, and it could even be a briefing or something like that on what the Smoke-Free Act legislation could be.
Yeah, because
going forward
they're
in the
talking about
process.
licensing cigarette stores. So I think what Callum's raised is very apropos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't, there was something else I meant to. Oh, the person who raised with me the fact that I just love this, the fact that the rugby league ground on Antigua Strickland, what is it called? What's that big?
Bradford Park.
Bradford Park.
And behind.
Was named after the hometown of a city councillor called something like Ernie Cook or Cook, who was, and in the paper it says this, a well-known socialist and
the Tailoress Union, Carolyn.
Yes, and trade unionist. I was absolutely thrilled. She brought me the information today. So everything I said about the name Bradford being boring went by the books. I thought, this is so cool. They used to call people socialists in the old days and admire them. Tim, you're not allowed to look like that. You're to approve.
Actually, you know, it was the home ground for the rugby league team that I backed, so I know it very well.
Yes, exactly. Well, it was a pond. After a thing, it was a pond, and the Smart family want to have it named after them, which is an extraordinarily, I said to her today, you can't have two, because there's another quarry down in Hornby, which is called the Smart Reserve, which is named after the Smart family as well. And it was another quarry they own. So they can't have bloody two anyway. But I've got all these pictures, which I'm going to take one or two out for the report of the board to council. And I've asked permission if I can take one or two of the photographs out. I wish Garth could see them because he would love them. But otherwise, I haven't got an awful amount to put forward either, except things seem to be going a little bit mad lately, doesn't it, with the youth wanting their moment of fame in the papers or on the news. So as far as I'm concerned, that is the end of the meeting.
No, I've got a couple of things.
Yeah. Oh, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, did someone say me as well? What?
Oh, Lee's got something, I think.
Oh yeah, Lee. Sorry, Lee. Go ahead.
No, I was just making sure we didn't miss Tim. Sorry, that's all of it.
Oh, I would have missed Tim. I'm really sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
Story of my life, mate. Story of my life. I met one of the developers for Broadfields. I think the other guy, I think I've got the name right. The guys that are doing the development by the Selwyn shops.
Brookfields.
Brookfields, yeah.
So they're really and such and such.
So they're really keen to work in with us, because I mentioned that we were going to wait or try and work in with Wakakatahi with regards to when they're doing up the intersection to try and get better bang for buck for the community and doing up the area. And they said they'd really like to sit down with us and talk with us about that and what they can help with regards, because they really want to invest in it, which I thought was pretty impressive. They also said that they'd also like a more broader discussion, because they would like to talk to us about where they're developing in the community about tree-lined streets, etc., to reduce car speeds and things like that, and just bring up the better value for the communities. So they said that they think they're getting a good deal. They want to be part of the community and have a good reputation for their developments, etc., etc. So it's actually a really, I was quite kind of a bit blindsided by their real keenness to do that. So I thought that was quite cool. So I'm not quite sure how to move this forward, but perhaps they could come and talk to us one day. Might be quite good.
Well, they said exactly the same thing to Mel. They said exactly the same thing to Mel. So I think we should push this.
Yep.
Yeah, they took me on a tour through that development, and then they were very welcoming to let the whole board go through ones that were open, but then, and Amy was going to organise it, but then we had COVID. It's sorry to interrupt you, Tim, but the other thing is that one of them emailed me today, because the whole reason I got in touch with them is because they are building next to Doreen Darnell, who used to write the Innington Times, and she's had issues. But he wrote to me today off his own bat to say he's talked to Doreen and he's hoping to get everything sorted, etc., etc. So there's actually very hopeful for a developer.
They seem really genuine, so I was very impressed.
Could you give the name and address to Marie, and let's get them to the board, because we've discussed it twice. So have you got contact details, Tim, or
I'll plug my email now, because that'll give you one of them, and he's the guy that responds. The other one doesn't seem to.
Yeah. And Marie, could we invite them to the board? Okay.
A couple other things. I've arranged a meeting with Gary Watson, because apparently he's the guy to talk to with regards to crime prevention cameras, etc. So I'm going to talk with him and ask how to move forward, and maybe get him in just for a discussion with us. So that's one. Daniel Hurd and their new chief executive of Enable, John Eales, came to talk to us, and John has made the executive decision, along with Daniel, that they're just going to get in and get the fibre done in the areas and work their way around, because he said it's about connectivity and it's about value, etc. And they are one of the council family of businesses. So he said there's no more mucking about, and so they're just going to work their way through. So they are hoping to start shovels in the ground in a couple of weeks, and Huntsbury and Wolseley will both have internet by August, I believe, or connection, I should say. So, yeah. So that's really good news.
I think some of those board members who are standing again should be up on those two hills waving the flag.
Yeah, well, look, it's that. But I have to say that the new CE, I mean, Daniel's been pushing it, and the new CEs, I think, is a really good investment for Enable and for council in general, because if he's got that attitude about, we've just got to do it for our communities, then that's the right kind of CEO we want running our companies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, my pen died on me because I had a couple of other things, but I can't remember them because I'm getting old and Alzheimer's and all that. But I'm sure they'll come to me at some stage, and I'll, next time. There you go.
Okay. I've forgotten what I was going to say as well. Hoonhay Network has their meeting at 12 to 1 tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Stop Banks.
It's on my list, you see.
That's so good. Hoonhay Network has their meeting at 12 to 1 tomorrow, and I've booked an appointment at 12:30, so can't go. With Melba, could you give my apology? Because normally I would go. I'm really interested in this issue of stop banks, because we got a presentation. We had a presentation on these exact stop banks, and I remember the hesitation that Keith. What's Keith's surname?
Oh, Keith Donaldson.
Davidson.
Keith Davidson.
Yeah, the boss of drainage. Yeah. I can remember Keith and Peter Christensen both had big reservations about the installation of stop banks. There now seems to be a real problem brewing there, with half of the residents not liking the idea and sort of thinking about New Orleans, and the other half thinking that this will be the saviour of Clarendon Street. Now, Clarendon Street's slightly outside our boundary, but the stop banks they were talking about were within the boundaries that will exist in the next term. I think we should be involved.
They're actually, the original ones were from Colombo Street down to Hence. So it is well and truly in our area. Yeah. And if you look at the photos that they use in all their promotion, one of the photos is of Riverlord Terrace, where it's well and truly flooded, and there are some of the families that I visited. So, I mean, the science has changed quite considerably, and I think that the report hasn't. And a couple of things that say in it that people will believe that they're safe behind low stop banks. That's not it at all. And I've yet to meet anyone that thinks that they will prevent the flooding. They're there to alleviate the lower level flooding if it can, but also gives the people more time to get out and to get this stuff up, if you like. And it was made clear to us from the very start when we started the retention basins that the retention basins would protect people from around about Hanson's Park up. Below that, it's dredging and it's actually tidal. And with the combination of the new science with regards to almost doubling the sea level rise and also some of the land mass dropping, I think we've got to relook at it. I seem to be on my own, but I don't, in that sense, but I do think we've got a serious look at it. I've made it very clear to Leanne, I have never hidden this. I've always been supportive of it and haven't agreed with the proposal, but so I'll leave it there. But
when you say, do you support stop banks or not support?
I do support stop banks.
You still support stop banks.
Look, some of the discussions.
Tim, we won't argue about it now. Cool. What I'm thinking about is asking if we can have a briefing, and that's
what we've asked for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And because I'm opposed, but I don't think it matters what we are at the moment.
Well, Melanie and I asked for that, and they are going to. I don't know what the date is, Melanie. Can you remember what? I don't know even if they've arranged a date.
No, but the reason this has come up because this is going to be at the council meeting, but I think that we actually should be doing something with the community like we did back, when all of this stuff happened after the flood events 2014.
But we've got to get the science right,
I want to be forearmed. I think I want the board that weren't around 3-4 years ago when this was discussed with us. I want them to be forearmed and to get some of the science, and so that we could have 2 or 3 of the 2 guys from drainage come and give us a science analysis. Whether we agree with it or not, we can at least start the discussion. So I'd really like them to come and give us a briefing, Marie. Do other people generally agree?
Yep.
Keir and Callum and Lee? So is everyone nodding? Thank you.
Zapping.
Marie, if we could do that, as please, and treat it as a part of members' exchange. If we could agree to ask the drainage team to come and give us a briefing on the issues. We're only interested in the science, not the politics of it. We can make our own minds up later. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Noted.
Anything else that people want to raise? Nothing else. Callum, can you give us a close for the meeting, and we'll start on the area report, if that's okay with you, Marie. Is that all right?
Yeah, we'll just have to, once Callum's finished, we'll just have to stop the recording and the live stream, which I managed to get started.
Okay, Callum, probably we should have a karakia now and then a karakia to start at the briefing, but I think we should have one now because this is the end of the live recording. Thank you, Callum.
Ka whakairia te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia tūruki whakataha ai, kia tūruki whakataka ai. Hui e, tae ki e.
Okay. Thank you, Callum.